Are we going?
Action.
Hi, I'm Ken. Get up here.
Oh, hey, I'm John.
And we're
All about tools.
although sometimes we're a lot dumber than normal. Oh, gosh. Well, here we go
What
again.
were you doing down there, Ken?
I have no idea, but it could start rumors. But we are both, once again, we've talked about this before, happily married.
That's right.
Find him not the least bit attractive.
Not to each other.
No, that's true. Oh, gosh. Well, anyway, hey, welcome to the show tonight. It's great to have you here. We have actually come back, and we've had a great week.
Yep,
Last
absolutely.
week. We've got a great week coming up this week and a great week next week. But why don't you tell everybody what we did last week?
Last week we went to the show in Orlando, Surfaces show. We saw some cool stuff, but we're going to do a show review in 2 weeks. So we'll let you know what we saw there. But it was great.
The coolest thing that was there that I saw was our hot cube oven. Or what do we call that thing anyway?
Hot box.
Hot box.
That's right.
And actually a lot of people were really impressed by
Yes.
that. Anybody that's thinking about getting into the realm of thermoforming, the cost has been pretty prohibitive before, but with this system that we've come up with that belongs really only to specialty tools,
Right.
is really fantastic.
Yep. Do we want to show them?
No, I
No,
want
okay.
to say that because that's a special
2
treat.
weeks. 2 weeks.
But the show was great. It wasn't as big as I know we expected it to be because a lot of you guys from the Northeast were trapped by that snow and ice storm,
That's right.
and that kind of made it difficult. Although I heard some booths were just absolutely mobbed.
Oh, yeah?
But I don't know where the people came from unless
Yeah.
they brought them in.
Well,
but-
we were mobbed when they were there, but we
That's
had a
it,
great
that's
time.
it.
We had met a lot of good people and had a lot of good things going for the show. We got some real surprises coming up later this year that'll be very interesting. And I've got a special surprise for Ken right now.
Oh God!
Ken is my buddy, and Ken
I am moving away from you because I don't trust you.
Ken has always made comment about my great goggles that I wear on the show.
Oh God!
So I got Ken a
Goggle
great
glasses.
pair of goggles. Look at how these were so scummy and dirty, and my wife just cleaned these all off, and we actually ran them through the dishwasher. Look at how
Wow.
those things shine. Now you've got a cool pair. So
That's right.
now, when
And
we,
these are replacing my regular
That's
glasses.
right.
I like what they do to my ears.
Now, we're
That's really nice.
we are driving to Atlanta tomorrow, and we're driving in a. Oh, here's my goggles. Great. Thank you, Dennis. And we are going in the Solstice with the top down all the way, and we're going to be driving like this. So if you
And this
happen-
guarantees my ears will flap. I've heard about that before.
So if you see us on I-95, honk and wave.
Because we will be embarrassed to be there.
Oh, we
might
are
as well
so,
advertise
we are
it. But
so stupid, you know.
well, this is. I'm going to actually adjust these a little bit.
Okay.
While I'm adjusting these, and
Let's flip
once again,
this down.
one
We have a
thing.
great guest tonight.
We do?
He has a company that really sucks, but it's okay.
supposed to.
It's supposed to.
Yeah,
you know?
first I thought you were talking about Oxley, who's here.
No, Oxley is here
Oh.
from ISFA as well. But
Does his
he doesn't have a
company suck?
company that sucks. No, he's
Oh,
got a,
okay,
he's
okay.
got a he's got a great association.
His brother's here. Does his company suck?
I don't know,
Okay, well then.
but we know that Dennis's sucks. So Dennis, come on in and join us. This is Dennis Rayon from Denray Machine.
Thank you, guys.
Great to see you, Dennis.
I love the glasses.
Great
man.
to see you. Oh, those are great. Those are great. No
What
doubt
will these
about
protect
it.
me from?
I don't know.
But they look good.
Well, you know, you got to understand that I've got a little Solstice 2-seater, and Ken's head sticks above the windshield like Goofy.
Like
in the
any
old-
normal person.
Yeah, like in the
We all
old
can't be
shows.
midgets.
Yeah, the old Goofy show, and his ears flap like this when we're driving. So anyway, we'll have to take those tomorrow, and we'll try them out, and we'll see what kind of looks we get from people. And maybe we'll take the video camera.
And we can
video
put
some
Joel,
people-
tape Joel to the front.
We can videotape some people watching us looking stupid. Okay? All right. We've got a great
Who's
show.
looking stupid?
We're looking stupid.
That's nothing unusual.
We're talking about dust collection. Well, not dust collection tonight, really, because these aren't dust collectors as per se, like you would think of. They're more air purifiers, I guess, than anything else. And what they do is they remove the dust at its source
Right.
before it gets into the air.
Airborne dust.
Airborne dust, not the heavy stuff. So as we're working today, you'll see we're going to be routing and things like that, and there'll be things going on the floor, and you're going to say, well, that doesn't work very well because the stuff goes on the floor. But you're not breathing the stuff that's on the floor
right.
unless you're already laying down on the floor underneath the dust.
Then you've got other problems.
And there are people out there that
You
way.
better believe it. You better believe it.
You usually find them when you come to work in the morning.
That's right. So we got a couple of chairs. So we're just going to kind of do a little, just a sit down here. And Dennis is going to tell us a little bit about dust. And although, I was going to bring a dust bunny, but I forgot.
This is not a healthy crowd tonight. John?
All right. Great. Yeah, there you go.
No, seriously, dust is a very serious issue in the industry. Woodworking, solid surface, stone. Dust is a killer. A lot of people don't understand dust. A lot of people don't understand the concept of, they'll look out in the shop and they'll say,
This is the kind of dust we're talking about, folks.
turn the machine on.
Right
Coming
there.
right back at you, though,
Yeah.
isn't
That's
it?
right. Oh, did you fill this with that rose stuff? Rose fertilizer?
No, that's that white stuff people send in envelopes.
Yes, that's right. Little
Only angry
anthrax.
customers send
Little
those.
anthrax. There you go. Well, that's the kind of dust we're talking about. Airborne dust.
Airborne dust.
Right.
Airborne dust is, like you said earlier, the chips and stuff like that that's collected off of a lot of machinery that would fall on the floor. That is a housekeeping issue. Airborne dust becomes a personal issue that when you're breathing that stuff in. Actually about 4 years ago, Congress has finally declared that wood dust is a carcinogen. It can cause cancer. When you get a splinter in your finger and you don't pick it out, what happens? It festers up.
Okay.
Why? Because wood is toxic to the body.
What about solid surface? Is that
Solid surface is plastic.
okay?
It will not dissolve. It's not, some people will say it's not as toxic, but yet some people say that the studies have not been out long enough to really determine the full ramifications and the seriousness.
But we've mixed
of
some
it.
solid surface dust and water here, and it gets pretty nasty.
pretty
and if that's
gummed
what's
up,
in
yeah.
your lungs, I wouldn't want to be breathing that either.
Yeah, well, it's happening all the time.
Yeah.
People are exposed to huge amounts of it, plus the different types of stone, granite, marble, and
Because stone wouldn't be good for you either, that dust.
No, because there's issues all the time that the word slips my mind right now of what the stone disease that happens, siliconitis or
Munchies.
Yeah, there you go, crunchies. Munchies, yeah. But the thing of it is we have to take the dust serious because dust is killing people, and a lot of asthmas is affected by dust. A lot of allergies is caused by dust. There's a lot of things in different particles of like solid surface. It's a man-made product. Mm-hmm. A lot of man-made products is held together by glues. A lot of this stuff we really don't know the ramifications of what happens when you breathe this stuff for 20 or 30 years, so on and so forth.
And that's what happened with, of course, we saw that with coal and black lung disease that came
right.
from that. We saw that with asbestos and the problems attached to that. So really it takes sometimes a generation, 2 or 3, before we really know how major a health problem different dusts and their components are.
Absolutely.
And then usually then our politicians figure it out and they're able to tell us that it's bad.
Right.
You have to get a bunch of dead people lined up, we got some rough
They
problem
pass a
here.
law that you can't breathe that because it seems to be bad.
So everybody that enters this building, hold your breath, so type thing. But
Congress, you mean?
Yeah, Congress is
Okay.
that way. That's the reason why they're all blue.
Hold your wallet too.
Yeah, no kidding. So the thing of it is wood dust. OSHA has a standard, 5 milligram per cubic meter, and it's very interesting. I have talked to hundreds of people at trade shows and asked them, "Do you know what that means?" And they all go, "No." No, I've only had one guy probably out of 200 people that said, "Well, yeah," and he described that he was similar. He was very close to it. And so I'll describe that just a little bit later. But one of the things that we have to be conscious of is it's not the dust that you see that's the problem, it's the dust you don't see is the problem. And because we're talking about very, very small dust. We've all seen, where you open up the curtains in a window or the sun is shining through a window and you see these little dust particles floating around in there. In order to see that with the naked eye, that's between 50 and 60 micron in size. And a lot of people say, well, what's a micron? Micron is 1/1,000,000th of a meter. And, I know there's a lot of people out there going, what's 1/1,000,000th of a meter? A lot of people say, well, that's small. It is small. The average human hair, which John and I don't have much of, the average human hair is 100 microns in diameter. So the dust particle that you see floating around in there is usually around half the thickness of a human hair. Okay.
So
But now,
if you can't see it, how do we know that your machine is really taking it out?
Well,
this is a good business you've gotten into.
That's a good point. But the thing of it is you know, we're buying filters from companies that has the test results.
They say they have the result.
They say
Okay, we're getting back into a Congress thing. I'm getting nervous and holding my wallet.
But seriously, you know, when you see 50 or 60 micron, and which under normal light you can't even see that floating around.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And so you know, all shop light is just not bright enough to see 50 or 60 micron, and so otherwise you don't see any of those. Now, if you see a huge dust cloud, you know, you may be seeing thousands and thousands of dust particles. It's 50 or 60 micron or
Probably
smaller.
actually more like really millions when you think about
yeah,
it. If you're
millions.
filling up a room and you can see a steady cloud, I mean the potential for going into your lungs is just
Okay, so
unreal.
where are we going with this here?
So the thing of it is you know, like fog.
We going somewhere?
You can see fog, but again, that's micron size too. It's about 3 microns.
Does this machine take the fog out of the air too?
Yeah, anything the air movement. You know,
Okay.
and that's the critical, is to have air movement in order to go into a filtration system that will capture that stuff.
Megan's watching you, and she wants to know you
Yeah.
look silly.
Hi, Megan. That's my daughter.
That's Dennis's daughter. At least
Back
somebody's watching.
Back in Missouri.
Thank you for tuning in,
We
Megan.
always know that our guest's family is watching.
Nobody else is.
Do you have a big family?
Nope, one daughter.
Oh, well.
One daughter, one
Standard
wife.
viewership.
So the thing of it is by basically giving people knowledge of what dust is, it'll make them think the seriousness. And for instance, a micron is 1/1,000,000th of a meter. We're filtering dust down out of this table in our dust booth down to 1/2 of a micron. Now we're doing this with a 99.97% efficiency, so that means that with the ideal filter situations going in, the dust that is trapping 99.97% of everything. That's 1/2 a micron and larger.
Wow.
Okay, so that's
Pretty
a filter.
impressive when you think
yeah,
about
that's
it.
a standard.
Now, is that like a HEPA
No.
filter? Is HEPA even smaller than that?
No, HEPA's smaller. HEPA goes down to 0.3 micron.
Wow.
We're at 0.5. Now, we also put HEPA filters on a lot of our machines. Basically, it's in a situation of lead and various other very serious issues where, you know, wood dust and plastics and stuff like that is not that serious. It's going into where there's chemical-related stuff.
Or it'll kill you faster.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, the great thing about this, I know we used to have a lot of guys in our shop. This reduces the need to dislodge a lot of debris from your nose at the end of the day.
Exactly, exactly. It prevents you from being exposed to that massive amount of dust.
There's a lot of these out on the market now, I've seen.
Yeah.
What do you think makes yours any different than anybody else's? I think you were probably one of the first people out, weren't you, to do
Yeah,
this?
there's been a couple others that's out there longer than we are. We really catered to the woodworking industry. We went from the small 2, 3, 4-man shop on up to the largest ones are out there.
Okay.
You know, we try not to necessarily just pinpoint the differences between ours and others, but some of the things that makes ours stand out is we try to make everything user friendly.
Okay.
And the nice tops that's covered with urethane rubber, which protects the product, gives the product also able to somewhat non-skid depending on what they're doing on there. And we're trying to capture the dust as close to the source where it's created. There's a lot of applications, there's a lot of tools. Festool probably has a fabulous system set up for their vac systems that sucks it right off the tool.
Right.
And there's a lot of applications where that is the best systems, because as close to the source that you can capture it, the better off you are. So we're giving people an opportunity to capture dust close to the source without having to be tied to a suction hose, because there's a lot of applications where the suction hose
a lot of people that I've talked to say, you know, the Festool is great, but it's cumbersome because there's a hose attached to
Right.
it. You know, when they use air tools, you know, the Beaver Sanders or Klingsport, whatever, they want it as free as possible.
Yeah.
They just don't want the big hoses on it. So this is a big advantage to that.
Yeah.
Now I also, one thing I want to point out too, And I know because we have a particular branch of the military interested in something like this right now. These tables also can be designed to not only handle wood dust, but to also handle metal shavings.
Dust. Yeah, we do a lot. We do a lot in the metalworking industry, and the metalworking industry
for welding and
grinding,
plastic. So it actually takes the fumes down away and what have you.
Yeah, and it takes smoke away, which a lot of people don't understand. But smoke is nothing but microscopic particles of whatever's burning. So otherwise, as you're welding and it pulls the smoke down.
They should have one of these in those rooms at the airport, those smoking rooms.
Basically, it works on the same situation. You know,
okay.
it's one of them things to work. In fact, I have put a lot of thought into designing a machine that would work for restaurants. You know, for restaurants that allow smoking.
Just
not
sit
in
at
Florida
that table.
Yeah,
Suck it right down.
That's true. But it's a little bit cost prohibitive for that.
Ooh, I'm going to have a smoke here.
But the thing of it is we have to understand that dust, as you breathe it into your lungs, there's particles that are 10 micron and larger will come back up into your lungs.
And that's a pleasant thought. That's a pleasant thought.
10 micron. Now, to begin, when you stop and think, you can't see 10 micron with your eyes.
Right.
Unless you look at it through a microscope. Okay. Now, white on black, so otherwise, or black on white, if you had a white piece of paper and you put a black speck on there, the smallest particle, the smallest speck that you can see is going to be about 20 micron. And that's going to be if you got perfectly good eyes. I mean, I couldn't see it, even with bifocals. You know, so those are 20
do manufacturers have any liability? Not that we want to, you know, start a can of worms here, but do manufacturers have liability in Is there any laws that says that they have to be using this equipment or using equipment like this in order to keep their employees safe?
Absolutely. OSHA says that, and again, we're going to talk about woodworking. OSHA says you can only have your employee exposed to 5 milligram per cubic meter. A lot of people said I have no clue what that means. And again, before I describe that, that's a time-weighted allowance. That means that you're exposed to 5 milligram. You may be exposed to 20 milligram per cubic meter for, let's say, 30 minutes. So that means over an 8-hour day, the average is 5 milligram. Okay? So you may be exposed to 20 for 30 minutes, but then for the rest of the day, that person better be exposed to 1 or 2 microns
now,
per cubic meter.
how is this going to impact, thinking of that as the benchmark, how does that impact the shop that, let's say, people are using the paper masks?
Okay, the paper mask, the single paper mask, or the paper mask with a single string on it that does not have what we call the pig snout or the snorkel on it, that is absolutely useless. That mask is only allowed for nuisance dust. And nuisance dust is where, like, let's say you're a carpenter and you're trimming off the ends of a rafter and this dust is falling in your face. You can put on one of them and that's okay, because that's a nuisance dust.
Now, solid surface is a nuisance dust, you said earlier.
Oh, absolutely.
We got break coming up, so we need to move along here a little bit.
So you have to have the mask with 2 strings, and it's got to have the snorkel snout, so that way when you inhale, it shuts, the air comes in through the mask, and then you exhale and it goes out through the snorkel.
But those plastic pig snouts aren't the same.
No, that's right. That's right.
Okay. But we've got to go to break. After we go to commercial, we're going to talk about this machine here.
Yep.
But I'm so interested in this discussion.
Well, it's a big topic. There's no doubt about it, folks, but we don't have time to go into it in depth. Right. But I'm sure if anybody wants to call Dennis, he'll be happy to talk to you about it. Yep. But we're going to talk about this after break, and then we're going to talk about this absolutely outrageous dust collection wall that Dennis put in for us in the studio. So we'll be right back, folks.
Dun, 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 dun.